rational expressions. So that was like the fractional, like being able to factor and cancel and add and subtract are rational equations. So it should be expressions, sorry. Not that that matters to you, but. Then in 5.2, we just got, or 5.1, we just got more into that. So it was kind of similar. We had done a little bit with slope. I'm not going to put anything of that out on the test. If you guys remember when we had to do the 2 points, just more the simplified. Being comfortable with the domain. Remember we talked about restricted values. Being able to say this doesn't make sense for this value or for this expression. So basically the denominator can't equal 0. So then in 8.1 is where we got into imaginary values and being able to like rationalize the denominator with imaginary, being able to evaluate, simplify, kind of all the things with imaginary. Involving those. And then in 8.8 is where we started to learn about multiplicity, that zeros can repeat and be able to find all those different zeros. So and so finding all the zeros, some of our tools then with that, we talked about factoring. Oops. Just fix that. We had the quadratic formula. So that's that big one. Even looking at a graph a little bit to help us with that, and kind of started talking about that a little bit. There's a few homeworks about, or questions on your homework about the graphing, kind of like number 10. Just kind of trying to show you and talk about that a little bit. So the review is a good indicator of what could be on the test. I'm not gonna, if it's not on the review, it's not gonna be on the test, but not everything on the review will be tested on either. So just, or maybe not in the depth it is. So if you guys want to flip the page over, we're gonna do one of these finding zeros together. And then I'll let you guys work on the review and your cheat sheet. And we can always regroup at the end. I do have an answer key ready to go. So if you're kind of checking as you go, you just need a little confidence boost, or like just making sure you're headed in the right direction. You can always check with me, or you can help me find my mistakes, because that's usually what happens then. So we'll kind of use that if needed. So reminder, if we have a zero that has an imaginary solution, we also have to include the reciprocal, or not the reciprocal, sorry, the conjugate of it. And remember, you just change the sign of the imaginary piece of it. So even though that's already a -1, now it's going to be a -4a. So this is going to be important for our zeros up there. Now this itself, we can't like substitute that. Well, I guess we could probably substitute it and check it. It would be an absolute mess. So what we do instead is we do x minus the 0. So x minus So making sure you're doing x minus that 0, so I put it in parentheses to kind of help you notice that. So we have to distribute this negative in. And if you're able to kind of skip over this and just kind of can see what the factor should be, I'm fine with that, as long as you don't mess up any like signs of numbers and stuff like that. So now we're going to FOIL this, and again, we're foiling this with this fact that it's going to end up looking like it's going to be a quadratic when we're done. So all the i's, the single i's, are going to end up going away. So that's kind of good knowing going into that. So, and FOIL, kind of take our time here. That's the first 3. You need to practice doing this so you guys get better at it. It's a little clunky at first. It gets easier as you practice it more, because a whole bunch of this will cancel. And then this I squared is going to be -1. Got 2? Yeah. All right, so we know that is a 0 of this function. And this is definitely one of the tougher ones we can do with this, so just know that going into it. If this is a 0 of the function, we're going to divide that in there so we can get the rest of them out. So this is going to get divided into this problem. So, work my way down here. And again, I picked a tough one so that you guys could kind of see that all the way through. Probably not anything this complicated on a test, but kind of has a lot going on here. It's 366. I'm hoping that I didn't do something wrong when I was writing it down or something, so it works out. So we're going to divide this out so that we have a smaller number to work with, a smaller polynomial to work with, and we should be able to find the rest of the zeros then. All right. So dividing. That's what I have so far. So I'm going to divide again here. multiply back. Oops, it should be minus 12x squared. Sixteen times 7. Anyone help me out? 102. Or 6 times 17, I said that wrong. All right, last one here. Hopefully this worked out. We get 18. Multiply back. I should have an X on it there. Oh, look at that. We get our remainder of 0. Now this, hopefully, is one that, are we able to, do we have to do quadratic formula now too? Or is it factorable? Oh, I was hoping it'd be factorable. But maybe it's good for us to practice quadratic formula right away. I don't think you have room left on your paper. Multiply to get positive 18, add to get negative 6. I don't think so. All right, here we go. So opposite of B. This one has all the bad stuff, so then you guys can practice this with me, and then hopefully the, not third power, second. And all the other ones will be easier. We have the square root of a negative 36, so that's going to be 6i. These are both being divided by 2. And so we get our other 2 solutions. So we got our 4 answers. Piece of cake. I don't think any